ChatGPT doesn't know things. I'm Danny, I'm a linguist, I study the science of human language. The way that ChatGPT works is that it's a giant piece of pattern recognition software. They fed it billions and billions and millions of pieces of writing from the internet, and it learned to recognize patterns in that writing. So it learned to recognize when two words often appear next to each other, or certain phrases that are repeated all the time, and over time it builds what's called a large language model. That's what ChatGPT is, it's a large language model. But when you ask ChatGPT, when did World War I begin, it doesn't know that fact. What it knows is that it often sees the words World War I and begin in the context of text that often includes the year 1914. And it also knows that when people ask when questions, like when did something happen, that the response is often an answer, like so-and-so happened in year 1914. So ChatGPT is just a really advanced pattern recognition tool. Now you could argue that humans are the same way, that we're just really fancy pattern recognition machines, that we take stimuli that we get in and we just spit out the patterns that we recognize. I leave that debate to the cognitive scientists and the philosophers. But what's really clear is that ChatGPT is nowhere near as advanced of a pattern recognition machine as we humans are. And part of the reason is because we have so many different senses and inputs that ChatGPT doesn't. ChatGPT doesn't even have speech as an input, it just has writing. Whereas we have proprioception, like our orientation, we have touch and smell and hearing and sight, and all of these senses and experiences that we take as inputs. Moreover, we learn from them. ChatGPT doesn't adjust its model as it goes. It doesn't adapt to what it learns. We do, and we do from before the day we're born. We are adapting to our environment, and we're adjusting our models, our pattern recognition models, for those experiences. So does ChatGPT know a language? Probably not. Knowing a language means being able to anchor words to experiences and knowledge, and ChatGPT can't do that. It doesn't know stuff. Now, ChatGPT often looks like it knows stuff. It often passes what we call the Turing test, which is basically that it can fool other humans into thinking that it's human. And it's really good at doing this, particularly when you ask it to produce long stretches of text. And the reason it's good at that is because that's the type of data it was trained on. It was trained on internet data like Wikipedia articles and things. So it's really good at spitting that back out. But it's not that hard to trip ChatGPT up. You just ask it the right kind of questions that aren't really in the core of its training set, and it starts becoming pretty obvious that you're not talking to a human. Is ChatGPT an incredible piece of technology that's a huge advance in our language modeling? Absolutely. Does ChatGPT know language? No. If you want to learn more about how language works, give me a follow.